a pleasure to be here. I do come here all the time, so it's a good restaurant, a good place. But you know, for me, it's one exciting time of the season, or of the year, really, with our season coming around. And people, you know, they always say, "Oh, basketball's starting. You know, you're going to get really busy." Well, actually, I actually have a life during basketball season, and in the off season, that's when I'm really busy because I'm traveling and, you know, doing speeches and catbackers and recruiting and everything else. So this, you know, for me, this last 3-4 weeks is one of my favorite times because one, I have a regular schedule. I know I'm getting up. I go to the office like a real person, and I have practice, and I come home, and she knows somewhere, you know, I give her an hour target. I'm going to get home somewhere in there, but we get going on Friday night, you know, with our start of our season. I think it's really important for me, for our staff, to get on a positive note. You know, obviously, you know, you want fans to feel good about it, and right now everybody's focused on football, which is just an amazing thing. But you know, for us, you know, we have gone through a transition, and you know, you're taking over a new group, and that's kind of what I was going to talk about here. You know, when he says motivation, and you know, what is motivation? It's leadership. It's something that I guess we have to do as coaches every day, and so we wear so many different hats. And it's, you know, the NBA coaches, if you talk to them, they just go coach and watch film, and that's it. If those guys screw up, you know, they don't care. They really don't, to be honest. And you know, what's Tomlin from the Steelers? He tells those guys, "I'll tolerate you until I can replace you." And I'd like to say that to our guys sometimes, but I can't replace them. So there's no trades going on, you know. So, but you know, it's a different animal. But we have to lead, and you know, you take over a new program. I've been able to do it. Now I've been part of 4 different transitions. One as assistant. This is my 3rd one. And the biggest thing I see right away that I've learned, and I think maybe why John Curry gave me the opportunity to come here, because I had been through it, and I had replaced a pretty successful guy. I think some of you have heard of a guy named Bill Self that was at Illinois before we were, and they won. You know, and I know Coach Martin did a great job here. You know, you have you know, some people loved him, some, you know, had some questions about it, but he won. And I think overall the fans appreciated him. And you know, I think the players, some ups and downs and all that, like every other, you know, every coach has. But when you take over, I think, whether it's a business and you're trying to do something new, the most important thing, the first thing you got to do is give people a vision. And you know, it's what now they're calling branding. You know, it's, you know, why do they keep changing the color of cans, you know, in Coke or Pepsi, or, you know, they come out with new, you know, slogans or motivation, or the greatest thing is the NFL. They want to sell more jerseys, right? So they do the throwbacks, or they do a different color. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple weeks ago, the ugliest things that have ever been out there. You know, but they're trying to create a new vision, some excitement, a new brand. And that's what I had to do with our players. And when I took over, the first thing I did, and I've learned this when I got, you know, at Southern, you know, why is he here? He's going to leave. When I went to Southern Illinois, when I got to Illinois, you know, it was just, I couldn't understand it. Even the fans were all mad at me because Bill Self left, and I kept saying, this is backwards. You know, he left. You should be mad at me and be mad at him and not at me. I'm the one coming. I want to be here. But I figured out I couldn't do anything. I had to win over the players. And you know, if you're a business, you got to win over your employees. You got to win over, you know, clients to come and feel good about you. And first thing I did, I got a hold of Roddy McGruder, and I did it before I even got close to taking the job. I had my assistant Chester Fraser was playing in Germany. He's from Baltimore. I called him in the middle of the night in Germany, and I said, "Hey, I'm talking to K-State. you're from Baltimore. I know all one of your boys, Squirrel or Squiggy or something, but somebody's got to know Rodney Magruder. And I said, get on the phone and call all those guys and find out, what Rodney's thinking. Because, one of the things I think with winning over a group or winning, you got to get the best player, the focal point. Who's our face of our program? Who's on the face of the poster? Who's on the media guide? Rodney Magruder's, he's the middle of it. So you got, and even in your office, who is the person that everybody else kind of watches? Who's the one that stays extra? Who's the one that puts in will give the benefit of the doubt and make sure you get things done? You got to get that person. The greatest, to me, master of that is Phil Jackson. And if you think about it, Michael did not win with the Bulls until Phil came. And he got Michael to buy into the team. And then when you get your best player to buy into the team, it's so much easier for everybody else. And you think about your office, even in my office, I know who to go to. Right now it's Coach Lowry because they all kind of look up to him. I got to make sure Coach Lowry's okay with that. Even though I'm the boss, because I got to make sure he feels good because now he'll tell Alvin, he'll tell Chester, and then all of a sudden, it's we should. Then I go in the office. Well, what do you think about this? Well, I think we do this. Well, I just told them that already, so I already got my job done. So so you got to get that best player to buy in because he's the one who bring everybody else with him. I talk about Phil. Even think about the Lakers. Think about Kobe and Shaq. Shaq never won. Think about it. Shaq never won a championship at LSU, and he's a monster. I mean, you just think about it. But when he got with Phil, it's Kobe and Shaq. They buy into the team and they have success. So so that's part of it. Now the next thing you got to do is gain trust, and that probably is the hardest thing. You give them this vision, and I'm not. When people say you're Republican or Democrat, I say no, I'm a coach. I'm neither one, but it's the one thing. President Obama's having trouble right now because what did he give everyone? He gave them a vision. And the vision didn't totally happen. Some things happen. But right now, that's why it's 49-48 or whatever you turn on the news, because, he lost a little bit of trust of the vision. And that's why for us it's important to start out good. Because now we gave them a vision. We got them to buy in. For the most part, there's days, they come and go. But now we got to really gain their trust. How do you gain their trust? With kids, it's so much different. But, I always ask them, what do you want? Well, we want to eat in restaurants. Like Mr. K's, we want to eat there instead of, sitting at the cafeteria in the dorm or going into a hotel and eating dried up chicken. So I like to eat in restaurants too. I like Mr. K's. We're going to Mr. K's. We had guys on our team that have never been to the chef. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Will Spradley, we took him with the recruit to the chef. He had never been there. I was like, what the heck? You've been here 2 years? Now Will thinks I'm the greatest guy. I took him to the chef. But little things like that, when I went to Southern Illinois, Coach, we want to wear Nikes. They were Reebok at that time. They were the only one that could give them anything free, and they were going out of business. But we were Nike, so I was a hero. We could wear Nikes. That they felt part of it. Even though our package with Nike at Southern was just a little package, now they felt, man, we were part of it. We've arrived. So those little things kind of slowly add up to trust. The other part of trust, and as a leader, and my old mentor, Coach Katie, my old boss, who I was with him 19 years, K-State grad, unbelievable coach he did. But the best thing he was a great manager of people. And I think that is the thing you have to be. And you got to realize, and I think where coaches a lot of times fail, they get so tied up in their ego, they don't let the people around them do their job. And I think you see that too in businesses or whatever. You're no better than the people around you. And if you don't allow them to do their job, and it was everybody when I became a head coach was afraid, and all my people around me, because I try to do everything. And, you know, and I still try to do everything, but I don't try to do it. I let them do it, and I kind of watch them, you know, so, because I want to know what's going on. But when I was at Purdue, I was there so long, 18 years. It's the second longest tenure of assistant coach at a major school. Bill Guthridge, who was a K-State grad, you know, and obviously the coach and assistant at North Carolina had the longest tenure. But I ended up doing every job at Purdue because every time somebody else left, coach said, well, just do it. We'll, you know, well, now I have tickets, I have camp, I have travel, I have recruiting, I have scouting. So, you know, I did everything. And then, you know, so everyone thought when you become a head coach, you can't do all that stuff. You can't. So and I've gotten better. You know, I try to do that, but you gotta use your people around you. It is so, so important, and be a good manager of people. There was a little phrase, Coach Katie, he's from Larned, Kansas. He had real good wisdom. It's kind of country, it's kind of hick. I don't know what it is. He always told me he grew up on the other side of the tracks. I drove through Larned, I did not see any tracks, so I don't know, he's full of it probably, but he used the term about share the juices. And when you think about it, if you haven't had kids, you've probably been on some kind of team or whatever, but the greatest example to me is with soccer. You got the little kids, you know, they're 6, 7 years old, they're playing. The greatest thing is what? Halftime. Because what happens? Mom and dads bring juices, and you get your little snack, and that's all those kids care about, except for one who the dad's driving them in, you know, and get every goal, you know, but everyone else, they just want their juice and their snack, and, you know, but everybody gets a juice in soccer. When I first got to Illinois, we went into the locker room. At halftime, my first couple of games, well, the first guy, they put in, you call, we're playing Ohio State, they ask you, how many players do you have? Well, we got 14 players. Well, we get 14 juices. You know, they're making $100 million and they only give us 14 juices. Even though they probably get the juices free from Coke or whatever it is. And so we go in there, the first guy takes 3 juices, the next guy takes 3, the next guy takes 2. Well, now we get the 6th, 7th guy, no one has juices. By the time I get in the locker room, we got fights over juices. And we're in college. You know, so now I'm trying to manage a locker room. Well, we're fighting over juices. By the time that's over, halftime's over, we go out there, we get our butts kicked. You know, everyone thought like I did some miraculous thing midway through our first season at Illinois. We kind of got them all bought in, all that stuff. All that happened, we won 51 of the next 54 games. And 37 the second season, the most ever in the history. And everybody thought, well, Weber, he became the guru, the master, all that. No, all I did was I got everybody a juice at halftime. That's what I did. And the way I did it, I had a guy that was an ordained minister on my team, Roger Powell. And I said, Roger, you're the only one I really trust on our team. You are the first one in the locker room. You are in charge of the juices, and you pass them out. But the whole thing is, that carries over to your business place, team, whatever it is. If everybody shares, what's there, if everybody shares the workload, if you as a leader do some little things to make a difference, you think when you become the boss that you've arrived. And I've seen it with guys, well, I don't have to do all this stuff anymore, I'm the head coach now. That's BS. I still help the managers pick up towels after practice. I still help load the bus. I still make sure everyone gets a sandwich on the bus before I do. In the long run, you gain their trust. They feel it. And what happens? Players see me doing that. Now what do they start doing? They actually start sharing. They make sure. Now it might take a while. It's when the assistant coach, his son or daughter have a game, and we're still meeting, and I say, that's okay, I'll take care of it. You go watch your kid. All those little things make a big difference. And then it even goes to the courts. Because what do they share? Coach Katie used to say, always call the fancy passes behind the back, behind it. He called them fruit juices. Quit doing those fruit juices. Well, then we always start to share the juices, share the basketball. if you watch, if you go through all the stats of my teams that have had success, they are one of the tops in the league in assists, sharing the basketball, giving it to somebody. In 04-05, they created a new stat. The media did assists per field goal. They had never done that stat before. When we won 37 games, almost 70% of our baskets came from